5 years ago, the Bourbon Junkies did a top 5 bourbons for beginner bourbon drinkers. Is their list still correct? Let's find out. What is going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, bringing you guys a brand new video. Today, we are looking back in history. We're looking at what the Bourbon Junkies top 5 beginner bourbon drinkers looked like 5 years ago when they uploaded this video. Some of those bottles in that video were really easy to come by, and today are absolutely impossible. Some of them still hold true. What bottles are those, and what bottles would I swap out from their top 5? Let me know down in the comments below what your top 5 beginner bourbons are in 2024. Drop that like if you enjoy the content. If you're brand new, make sure you smash that subscribe button because we're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. If you like my Everyday Drinker hat, check out the link to the store down below. This is for sale. And check out the Patreon. We are on the road to 100 Patreons, and I can't wait to hit that big giveaway happening over there. So make sure you go check it out. But without further ado, let's get into what the Bourbon Junkies had going on 5 years ago. All right, everybody, I just have to give a huge shout out to the Bourbon Junkies for doing YouTube for this long. Bourbon YouTube is hard. It is difficult. There is so much that has to go on. And for them to have a video that was uploaded 5 years ago, and for me, a newer bourbon YouTuber, to look back on and just do a video on, that speaks volumes to what they have done. So I give you my utmost respect. Before we get into the bottles, they had some parameters that you had to follow for bourbon number 1, bourbon number 2, bourbon number 3, and bourbon number 4, and bourbon number 5. So the first bourbon had to be something that was an easy drinker, and their choice was the Old Forester 86 proof. I personally don't have a bottle of that, so I'm going to put a sticker of that bottle on the screen right now for you guys to see what that is. And well, I think that that bottle is absolutely wonderful, but I do think that 86 proof is a little bit low. In today's day and age, 86 proof is low, so my go-to in that wheelhouse that is an easy drinker is going to be Old Forester 1910 Old Fine Whiskey. This is coming in at 93 proof. I'm going to try and keep these bottles in the same distillery or flavor profile so that I don't steer completely away from what their mind and what their thought process was. So Old Forester 1910 Old Fine Whiskey is going to be my counter offer to what they had put out there 5 years ago. And 86 proof, in my opinion, is a little bit low. 93 proof is a nice sweet spot. This one is not super complex in the flavor profile world, but it has really nice flavor for what it has to offer. I love the Old Forester 1910 so much. It's sweet. It's got a little bit of oak. It's got a little bit of marshmallow in there. It's got a little bit of dark fruits, but everything marries together so well, and I love the 1910, and I think it's just a tad bit better than what they had to offer 5 years ago. Let's get into bourbon number 2. Bourbon number 2 had to be something that was easy to find, and well, let's get into what their bottle was. The bottle that the Bourbon Junkies put out there as their easy to find bottle 5 years ago was none other than Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is a great 90 proof bottle of bourbon. Absolutely love it. But this isn't easy to find nowadays for a lot of people in a lot of states, so my counter offer to what the Bourbon Junkies had to say 5 years ago is gonna go to Benchmark Single Barrel. What a bottle of bourbon this is right here. Benchmark Single Barrel coming in at 95 proof. Definitely under 30 bucks. Buffalo Trace in a lot of markets right now is not under 30 bucks. And you're getting a couple more proof points. You can find it everywhere. I think I see it everywhere here in New Jersey. I hope you guys can find it everywhere. The same exact distillate from Buffalo Trace, but readily available. I think that this right now is going to take over what Buffalo Trace is. I think it's a little bit better, honestly, but hey, who am I to say? I could be wrong, I could be right. You guys let me know down in the comments below. But let's get into bourbon number 3. Well, bourbon number 3 is something that is budget friendly, which is $40 or less, but that was 5 years ago. So Today, I'm bumping that budget friendly up to like 45, 50 bucks. And their bottle that they chose 5 years ago was Eagle Rare. And I absolutely agree 100% with this. And that's why I'm putting it in my top 5 as well. Eagle Rare is one of those fantastic bottles that is bottled at 90 proof, 10-year age statement. But the one caveat that I would change on this bottle is going to be not just regular Eagle Rare, but Eagle Rare store pick. So always look for that silver sticker on the side of the bottle, and that to me is just the icing on the cake for Eagle Rare. I get so much more complexity off of store pick single barrels of Eagle Rare rather than just the regular offering. The regular offering is still really, really good, don't get me wrong. And if I could only have the regular offering, I would 100% only buy that. But if I could buy the store picks over top of those, 100%, that's what I would do. Let's get into bottle number 4. Bottle number 4 is something that is lowish proof. Now, they could have stuck with the Old Forester 86 proof for this offering, but what they ended up going with was they chose Evan Williams single barrel. Now, this is an absolutely delicious pour of whiskey that you cannot go wrong with. But the one thing about this bottle is you can't find it in stores anymore unless you live in Kentucky. And where do more than probably 95% of the residents of the United States live? Outside of Kentucky. And well, if you're lucky, you could still walk into a store that's outside of Kentucky and they might have one of these bottles if they held onto their cases, but I highly, highly doubt that they have. This was a really, really good $30, $35 bottle of bourbon, but you just can't find it. So what is my counter offer to that? I'm sticking with Evan Williams, and I'm going with the Evan Williams 1783. One of my absolute favorite bottles of bourbons that is sub 25 bucks, 90 proof, and can do absolutely anything. You guys are probably wondering why I'm not putting in the bottled and bond. Well, because that's not lowish proof, and I also, forever have said that I like the Evan Williams 1783 100% more than the bottled and bond. I will buy this any day of the week with any circumstance over the bottled and bond. It is 100%, in my opinion, better than it. And well, because this bottle is unavailable, we're going with the 1783. And bottle number 5 that the Bourbon Junkies put on their list was the Four Roses small batch, coming in at 90 proof. And while that is a great bottle, right? I've had many, many pours from that bottle. I personally don't have it, and I also don't have any Four Roses on my shelf. Out of the 170 plus bottles I have, not one of them is Four Roses. Why? Because, well, I've said it before on the channel, I'm a little bit intimidated by Four Roses with everything that they have to offer. But what Four Roses does offer in that small batch 90 proof bottle of bourbon is something that's sweet, something that's fruity, and something that has a little bit of spice, all packed into one bottle. And well, my counter offer to what they are offering in their top 5 from 5 years ago is Redwood Empire Lost Monarch. Now, what does this bottle have to offer that one does as well? Well, we're not sticking with something that is anywhere near what a traditional Four Roses bourbon is, right? This is a boo rye. This is a bourbon and this is a rye. Now, what does bourbon typically have to offer? Bourbon typically has to offer sweet, fruity notes, right? What does a rye have to offer? Ryes offer fruity, spicy notes. And you put those two together, you get a boo rye, and this is one of my absolute favorite 90 proof go-to boo rye offerings, and I think that it probably matches pretty well with what that Four Roses small batch has to offer. So that's why I'm putting this here in not bad whiskey, not bad bourbon of 2024. And well, we've got one more bottle that the Bourbon Junkies put on their list, an honorable mention. And their honorable mention was Weller Antique 107. Let me just take a drink right now. You can't find this anywhere for if you're lucky, right? If you're lucky, you can't find it. If you're not lucky, you'll never find it. You need to be struck by God and a strike of lightning to come down on you to possibly get your hands on this bottle, right? It's so darn difficult nowadays to come across Weller of any kind in any other state other than Ohio and Texas. And yet alone this beautiful red and gold label of the 107. Really, really good bottle, but their bottle was the screw cap, and I don't really know when they switched over to a cork on the 107, but nonetheless, like I keep saying, you can't find it. So what is my go-to bottle, my honorable mention? We're sticking with a wheated bourbon. It's something that's 100 proof, super close to what this has to offer, and I think it is just as good, maybe even better. We're going with the Bardstown Origin Series Bottled and Bond Wheated Bourbon. This right here is so darn delicious. I know a lot of you love it. I know anybody that I pour this bottle for absolutely loves it. I don't know why we didn't put this bottle in the wheated bourbon blind that we did earlier in the week, but hey, things happen. We could be doing another blind here in the near future, and this one might be in it. But nonetheless, a 6-year wheated bourbon bottled at 100 proof from Bardstown. Heck yeah, sign me up for it. This is most likely available in any other state other than New Jersey, but I know a lot of guys that I can get this bottle from tomorrow if I wanted to. So nonetheless, that is my counter offers to what the Bourbon Junkies put out for their top 5 with an honorable mention, bottles of bourbons for beginner bourbon drinkers. Let me know down in the comments below whose top 5 you think is better in 2024, me or the Bourbon Junkies. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, drop that like, leave a comment down below, and smash that subscribe button. Until next time, this has been Nathan with the Everyday Drinker. Cheers.